Good morning, everybody. I just want to say a few words about a conference I attended. It would be yesterday, because it would be Wednesday, in the Crown Plaza, Dundalk. It was at the Dundalk Chamber of Commerce tourism conference. There was about possibly 250 people plus at it. I just didn't take all, I didn't attend. 286, I think, was the full list, but it was very interesting. Some of it was rubbishy, like everything else we get. Some of the speakers were very, very clear, but it's sad to see when you can't hear somebody that don't know how to speak and they're a doctor on a subject. We all have our bad days and good days, but they're all very good. There was one gentleman not too clear, and a lady from the College of Surgeons, a wee bit hard to hear, but apart from that, it was good. But I must say that there was a lot of rubbish spoke at the very last speaker. I wouldn't be happy what he was saying. He just reminded like he was a businessman trying to market something. He was speaking on the ferry, proposed ferry for Greenore, making out of his cat's whiskers. I could criticise all he said, because I have experience of the Carlingford Lough for over 40 years, being a boatman on it longer, since I rode the lough actually. I know what the tides are like. I fished the lough. I know what the Carlingford Lough is like. Now they're putting on a car ferry to Greenore. It doesn't make sense to me. He says about touring around the lough. First of all, he spoke about we missed out an awful lot. Did miss out an awful lot if you just go to Greencastle, because there's not much in Greencastle. It's a nice quiet place if you want to meditate or live in a nice quiet area, and I like to see those areas for tourists to attend, and they can attend the castle, go to visit the castle, things like that. But what I want to say is the northern side is not near ready. You give the impression that this will be up and running in 206 or 216. Well, I'm very familiar. I'm Bishop of Wales, but apart from that, I deal with the north. I'm very, very familiar with it, and I have a little boat I can cross to Greencastle. But at the moment, there's no agreement for any roads. He's talking about licence for the lough. Well, the Greenore Greencastle Fishermen Association claim jurisdiction on that lough. So I don't know what the licence is. We wouldn't mind something going if it was the room to facilitate it, but we don't want it like a sardine in a tin type of thing. They make out there's going to be thousands of people, which I doubt it. I don't think it's a great thing for tourism at all. It'll make it too competitive, the north and south. Well, in the ideological sense, if it did work, say the tour, which I don't, but the boat won't be a thing a lot of people would use. I certainly wouldn't use it. £18 across the lough. They say you go across in 15 minutes, right? But if I go down to Greenore and there's only one boat, I'm not usually going to get over to Greencastle in 15, 30, 45. I'll get into my vehicle, I guarantee I'll be in Greencastle in 45 minutes in the car, unless there's big road delays, but there normally isn't too bad. You have lights in the area, it's fast enough to get round. And I would rather, if it was bad weather, not use the ferry, because your car gets damaged with salt. Like, it will get damaged and salt on it. There's a lot of risks. It'd be safer going the road. It'd be cheaper too. So I don't see the point of the ferry, but I can see it doing harm for tourism in Carlingford, because Carlingford may not be that cheap, and it's like a battlefield at the moment, and it's a lawless town. Nice town has been spoiled by over planning and well, let me say bad planning, and maybe it's interference, but houses on top of other, and it's too crammed. So I don't see the ferry would be a good thing for that. It seems to be bad planning putting the ferry there, because in bad weather it's going to be very tough getting into Greenore. It's not going to be a nice place. Certainly I would not put a car as a boatman on a ferry. You might, like I said, one gentleman said to me here in Greenore, the chairman of the residents now, he would put on his car once, but I don't think, in fairness, he'd pay 18 quid, and if it is I couldn't see it. I couldn't see how that's going to attract tourism. Because there's nothing in Greencastle. It's a lovely place to go over there if you like just peace and tranquility. But you have to drive away up to Newcastle, way out of the way. Anyone coming from Dublin, it'll be far handier. Bypassing here. If you wasted money, but then again, they say they have the money themselves, but if it's a private enterprise, how are they going to get the roads changed in Newcastle? I was only speaking to somebody tonight, as well. I'm not going to mention names in case I haven't full permission, but somebody's a good authority at the far side, one of the landowners, and they'd been measuring, it seems, up on the road up to the people's walls or something, and they would own out ground on the road. And the fact that it's a private enterprise, they're going to have a big problem getting Greencastle people to agree to it. It would spoil the whole tranquility of the area. Like, when you're taking these new roads, they're great, but in general, Ireland has been ready for neo-colonisation. I think the Pope was using some other term, but I've been using this term because my background was in social science too. So I would be using the term of neo-colonisation in Ireland. We've a lot of roads around Ireland that sound good, but if your car breaks down, it's a nightmare on a motorway. If they want to make that into Greencastle, I think they would spoil a lovely peaceful area, because a lot of holidaymakers like to come to Ireland. Possibly they idolise the old ones anyhow, would like to see thatched cottages and all this type of thing. You come round here, it's near like another state of the United States. We don't have these places. I know we're trying to get heritage thing, and there's a big problem if you get heritage in houses, because if there's an order on them, you know, to preserve them and all that. There is a problem. But like Greencastle, I've known it this years. It's nice to see it the way it is. You could modernise it maybe slightly, but I don't see this big ferry. First of all, I don't believe you'll ever get the volume of traffic for it. If people were down once or twice, I think that'd be it. It'd be a 3-month wonder. But what I would have liked to see was a bridge, narrow water. It might have been a help. And you don't need a good motorway from Uri down to have it, because once you get to Warren Point, the bridge will be there. But now that's all gone. By the wayside, you're back to the drawing board again. And if I was in the Northern government, there's no way I would waste a lot of good money on bridges with the way the exchequer is at the moment, tighten funds, people for health and all that has been dealt with. And the same here. What I do see, no disrespect, regardless of the bad planning in Carlingford and the things on top of other than that, and there's some nice services in Carlingford, like in fairness, some nice venues, and it's accredited them the way they get things going. But I do feel if the ferry comes to our area, and it did work, as to say, because Carlingford is expensive, we have a bad euro rate at the moment, which means that for people from the north coming up, it's a good thing if you get 135 on your sterling. It helps you to pay the expensive, cost of staying in guest houses and all that. And the reason why places is expensive here is because there's too many bloody government charges. They're paying too many people, but 4 people. It's a way of my way of explaining it. They're running around with this, looking important with glasses down over the eyes, and too much of that, doing nothing. Like, democracy is gone by the wayside. We have a people's participation network. I've been on the forum for 10 years, I know what I'm talking about. But you're getting nowhere. You're marking the boxes. Now they have a 3-year rule. If anyone sits in that, it's only just marking boxes. You're getting nothing done, because you can't. The way it's blocked, the way the system works. But that's the government's way of doing it. They get the thing half right. But back to what I'm speaking about is the Greencastle Ferry. There's no agreement whatsoever with authorities. It's a private enterprise, and landowners are not going to give. So I can't see this ferry being up and running by next Easter, and I can't see it running at all. I just leave an open mind in it. But certainly people in Greenore, the local residents here, would not welcome it. it's also an obstacle. They have to give way to ferries going up and down the loch. It's not going to be such a great thing at all. What I would have liked to have seen was a ferry from Slaughter Head, which would take it to Kilkeel. That would make sense, because that's about 40 mile of a turn across, you know, and you might make it to Kilkeel in, well, maybe an hour and a half. And if you had a fast boat, you could probably do it in an hour and a half, you know. But the sea isn't great out there, because in Greenore here, for example, you have some very bad seas if you get no westerly wind. And when they're trying to put the ferry to land, it'd be alright then. It don't fail. I wouldn't fancy it now. And get south east scale in Greenore, it's terrible. Southwest in Greencastle, there'll be a lot of weather, so people with their cars might be getting cold feet. If there was a ferry, like say, in a place that was narrow, we weren't vulnerable to weather, but we do get some bad weather here. And there's days you can go down there, you can look at the sea, and a lovely day at say 10 o'clock, you go down to the north. I don't see the point in going Newcastle around. That would be just handy to drive around in the car, because I personally like the scenic run of a car. Because if I go to Greencastle, right, from Greenore, even if I do forget about the cost of the ferry, I'm trying to make logic and sense of it. I'll go over to Greencastle. If I did put a car on it, which I don't intend to, I land. And sure, I'm only having to go away down to Kilkeel there. It's lovely going around Warren Point in Newry, and you may want to go in and shop something at the market. To me, I like that run because there are things to do on the way. Time consuming, but there's some lovely places you're parking. I wouldn't feel it great coming in at Greencastle, going down, and I'm missing a lot of natural beauty. Greencastle's a nice place, but as I said, it's a nice peace and tranquility, and that's an area where a lot of people would like. I think this is going overboard with the ferry. If the £7 million, I don't know. The one of the people in Greencastle don't want it. There might be a very minority would want it. This village here don't want it in Greenore. There'll be a minority again would like to see it. But if they're going to be blocked more on the shore, we have a promenade now in Greenore shore, and I'll be honest with you, it's not a good thing for us, because it's destroyed the natural beauty of the beach. We used to have a nice natural beach. You go down and sit on the shore, and it was nice going down. We used to call opposite Eddie by the Squeeze Gut. It was a nice place to go down and sit down. They reclaimed a wee bit of land, but it's artificial, and if you come in with a boat at the shore now, you have a big wall and a promenade. So that's not, that wouldn't be nice to me. I like the natural beach. And also when you build on these piers and things out, you cause a problem of land erosion, if you ever study that. Like for example, if you build a pier out at Greenore, it has to have an effect on the other ground. As you lift in a piece of fat, you move it a bit and it's not right or a clot, it'll increase pollution in certain areas. But as I'm just looking at the whole thing of the ferry, there's nobody really wants to see the place disrupted. It's no harm steel coming into Greenore, but we've cattle feeding coming in, and there's a new company there, and maybe they'll get it right. They need to get on sprayers. Make it simple. If you like a box system like in Belfast, the sprayers comes up around this big box. So when the stuff is coming out of the crane, the spraying up in the air, it blocks the dust from going round. Now, it's very funny, the way they work the dust here in Greenore, taking this animal feed. A ship comes in and they'll say, oh, we can load it when it's blowing onto the sea. But if we have a place of natural beauty and a tourist area, and I can tell you, I went round that port in Greenore, and I can tell you, some jeopardy hit you, the boat's blowing the wrong way. Shooting the village, but it's blowing in the loch. So it's not a very good way. They need to get the sprayers in the port, and they should be made to put them in, because the small businesses that close them over very simple things. So so back to this ferry. Tourist area here. It's grand to say we have tourist area, yes. Carlingford has come on well. It's a bit conglomerated. I'm not saying there's other places good again, but there's a lot of facilities around Carlingford if you want to negotiate them, and it would be pricey for international tourists coming in, because there's a big problem here with balance of payments, and you all know about that, I presume. We have people now going away foreign. We phone companies, and they're only foreign people. That's like absentee landlords, that the profits going out of the bloody country. And then we've a government wanting to put in a water system with private companies. Privatisation works to a point, but it will not work when they have to make a profit. It's going to be there on the people. It's like contract nurses, for example, and contract medical people. It's costing an arm and a leg to hire them. So they want to look at an awful lot of things area. Naturally, if you hear something, you will say, jump at it, right? Oh, ferry from Green. Suppose no one would say from anywhere. A man with a business and think that's great. But remember, your prices for this side, if the pound comes up near level again, it could be, if it did work, which I can't see the ferry working any, but making the place closer together. It's not just we say in Kilkeel as sheep, I would say, maybe, you know. We stay somewhere around there. But I can't see it working personally. I could see them getting, anyone can put up money that have it, and regardless where they get it, they can put it up, and maybe they'll want the boat to put on the River Shannon or something like that. Be some, they're not idiots. Anyone's trying to invest 7 million, they're there to make money on it. And it'll be at the expense of anyone living in the area, like, because we see the port with that animal dust. It is a big problem. We know there's a lot of lads making money, but you have to have work, we know, in a situation in the area. But the way around animal dust will be to get the proper system in, like they have in Belfast. I don't know what it'll take now to put in, maybe 20,000, 50,000, but to a big concern, that shouldn't be a big problem. They could eliminate the dust. You could down the fish and you'd be covered down at the car park down at Greenore Point. It's terrible when you get the wind in the summer and some days. And there's no hotel. It used to be nearly white. But let me say, it's nice to get people working. I'd like to see people working together, but we've also to think now we've an election coming in the UK. And if I get my sums right, I figure Britain will be pulling out of the common market, because I certainly would pull out if I was I said in the UK, I would be on to pull out of the UK, out of the common market. And I do believe in every country should have control of their own destiny to a point. But in the EC, you're more or less ruled by Germany now, literally speaking. Like you have that Mrs. Kenny, as they call her, from Germany, or whatever they call her, I don't know what they call her. Angela Merkel, or Angela Kenny, I don't know what someone says, I'm not that familiar with her, but that lady will be fed in her own nest. Like, you could say Germany won the war. The way things looks. Make some good cars and things, good products. I can't run that down, but we are not fit to be in the EC in Ireland. This one hitting round. If Britain leaves it, a lot of our trading with Britain, I do see the structure's going to change in the UK probably within the next 10, 15 years, if not less. And you'll have federal, maybe it's supposed to be less. You'll have some type of federal system. And I feel that the British Isles, as was known traditionally, as I think we will be far better off considering it out of the EC. Because with the EC took in VAT, taxes come on, you'd be better with a more laissez-faire society. That means less services, which they're trying to cut now, and that people earn a few bob, the tax man not be running down after the back. And all these regulations, this, that, it's really gone beyond a joke. And people have become over-hygienic, because I always am a firm believer, if your metabolism gets lazy, if you're taking too many antibiotics and you're over-hygienic, if you can't eat a bit of meat that falls on the floor, you're letting the fight go out of your system. Now I have a pair of goggles on me at the moment, glasses, and I'll be honest with you, the logic of it is, glasses makes your eyes lazy. It's no harm to I don't really need them for ordinary work, but it's for reading. But make your eyes lazy when you take them off. If you don't exercise, you become lazy. There's an awful lot of things that medical people and other people with ferries and all this, they're really trying to make money. They're not there for the good of the people in general, it's the good of the pocket, where they can make the most money. And it's the same, you go to a pub. What's the sense of going in? The pub's going to smile at you if he's making money. That's what it's about. But it's all about making money for living for people here. We want to see the people getting living here, but I don't want to see them crying. To get the happy balance, if you have too much, make it too competitive. I couldn't see this side doing so well, because Kilkeel could start and have an awful lot more things going. If I could assess was good to Kilkeel, but I just don't think the ferry is going to be that big a success. If people had 7 million to throw away, let them throw it away, but a lot of people are not going to accept it. Like getting the roads right in Greencastle, I know it's a big problem, and I know the place well. I don't know, but a gentleman spoke on that today at the thing, and I did take notes. It didn't bother to be here now, but I had notes. I could have criticised all he said. Because that gentleman rang me once on the phone about objections here to very many years ago. Well, it wouldn't be that many years ago. I didn't write it down. It might be 5, 6. And he was giving out about the place. And I said, we don't want it to Carlingford. Because, he bet Carlingford was too much rowdyism. We had a bar in Greenore here. There was an awful lot of hassle and problem. It wasn't that nice a place. You had lads going round at night. Not every night, but they were going round. Damaging cars, phone boxes and all this. There's none of that now. Well, the phone box is gone. So when you're taking all these things in, you have to consider this. Now, on Easter Sunday, I must add into this, Carlingford's like a battlefield, I believe. And I did hear a Garda saying at the community alert meeting that there is a big problem with his personnel. He was on his own. I just don't know whether it was Easter Sunday night, but he did mention he was on his own. And the rules with the guard is, and it's not wise for like one guard to go into maybe a couple of hundred people all going silly, peddling in the street or whatever they're doing and drunk. And so he rung someone from backup and he only could get a squad with 2 people. So there's a shortage of, but the logic of that is, if people are going to be licensed, it should be brought before the court to see is the place safe, fit for purpose. Can the guard or sergeant in the area or inspector say he can promote safety of the place? He can't. And there's an awful lot of things we have to do. But as I said, there's things going for I used to like Carlingford 20 years ago when it was quieter. But Omeath could be developed more. You have the Strand Hotel, very good, and there's other hotels there, but traditionally Omeath robbed the people in a sense. And although it's different if a client goes to Omeath, the more like families coming up from Belfast and that, and we have a change then in the political structure with this peace agreement, which you never know could break any time, because you never know what's going to happen. We'd like to see a peaceful world, everybody loving everybody. I would have thought many years ago before I studied a global economy was great. No, but once you get in privatisation and you get in people, multinationals, they're in about maximising profits, and it gets profit what counts, not a need. If you're a Christian, you have to work about need. If you heard the gospel, and I'm not going to go into this on scripture, but last Sunday the thing was about the way the early disciples worked, to help one another, to share. We go back to the apostles. They give up the things. You can't take them with you when you die. But this is all blasted, will change. So there's an awful lot of things we need to look at. I've given it, open your mind to an awful lot of things when you're thinking of developments in this, and development for who? The word development means, it's a two-ended word. What's development for me might be not the development for you. And if you have a business, you want to more or less run over everyone, because you mightn't think that, but you're trying to make money. You have a cruel world, you have overheads coming, bills, and it's very hard to survive in a lot of businesses unless you have a big turnover. And if you're small, there's that many regulations with the CC. So people, I don't know, damn, it makes it nearly impossible. It makes, for the bigger units going to survive, the whole time it's heading with the big thing. And if the big man gets the way, democracy is out the window, because it's controlled with bureaucrats, which is happening with Europe already, and it's going to get worse unless we wise up. And we have spoken about a nationalist Ireland here, but I think we do have to feel about this Isles, the four island of British Isles trading with Britain. We're going to have to look at this realistically and see. Now, I'm not saying what's happening yet, but I am saying with a forecast the Tories will get in, and if they get in, the UK Independence Party, they'll want to get out of Europe. I personally would be voting to get out if I was in England, strong to get out of it, because it'll destroy the system over there, because they're a big the Fleet Street and the Wall Street, you know, with the world banking system and too much control. They're not going to listen to Germany, and I don't, like, I played in one time, very short period in the Chipperfield Circus as a German ringleader. And I was feeling there was someone that was stuck for an organist, but I wouldn't just let him tell me what to do, because I was helping him out, doing him a favour. So the same thing I just like to say is, be careful. Globalisation, it's very bad, and it's destroyed Ireland, destroyed our traditional culture, because you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't look at anybody, you can't slap a kid and they wonder why. They've destroyed the family system, the state taking it over, and the way it's looking at the state, they're not fit to do it. I just wouldn't have the resources. I don't want to accuse anybody in a job to do their best, because they can only do what they can do. But the whole system has gone too far out of hand with all this righteousness of what you should do and politically correct and all this type of thing. I think we are going to have to go back, because I do know with the recession coming, and people have told me, said the bullying is starting. If you work in a bank, they don't lick your backside now, like it's not that nice, you know, tough jobs. Most jobs now is tough. People's in it for money, and it's got very cruel and vicious. And there's far too many taxes, overheads. Now we speak about looking more wages at the moment. What we have to do in this country, get costs down. And all these services, it has to be looked at. Like there's too much in administration. It's made too complicated. As I said, too much of this running around with the CFO paper, heaps of it, or heaps. We have to rethink the whole thing. Now, most political parties, they're going to the left, and you can see half of Ireland is out of this Celtic Tiger. A tiger is a two-way thing. Well, maybe roughly half did okay out of it, and that's a lot. But there's an awful lot of people here who haven't done well. Celtic Tiger for Greenore, we've a couple of factories gone, and I can't see them being replaced. And so our only hope here is tourism. But we must think of, well, it's the immediate hope looks to be tourism, and maybe a place for homes, if people coming to stay from foreign countries, I just don't know. But if we want to develop tourism, just be careful. And I'll say this again as I sum up. It's not favoured in Greencastle. Don't do away with natural looking places. At the same time, be careful when you're getting historical orders in your premises. You want to be very, very careful in that as well, because if you buy a house and there's a preservation order on it, you get big problems. Doing it up, it'll cost you an arm and a leg. But at the same time, you must have some thing kept in a place. You don't want big roads and ferry boats coming over and all this, making it too quick. It's lovely for people to go down to Warrenpite, drive round Greencastle to Kiel, but actually if you're going to Newcastle, there's no point in going near that way at all, because you go down in your Obi Hill town and you're going Belfast, like the motorway there, which I like avoiding the motorways, to be honest with you, but we need to look at all the system again. I'm just almost a half an hour on this. And Greencastle, more or less, signals, don't want it, roads not there, infrastructure, private company, it's not going to be easily done, it's not going to be done. I don't see why. Personally, I wouldn't be going it. You say now you can't take a lorry on it, so what's the bloody point? Go ahead, love yous all. Think about it. Night.